I appreciate you joining me today. Hope you're having a good day. We are going to continue to look at the resurrection. Our passage today, our hymn is Faith is the Victory.
Encamped along the hills of light, ye Christian soldiers rise, and press the battle ere the night shall veil the glowing skies. Against the foe in vales below, let all our strength be hurled. Faith is the victory we know, that overcomes the world. Faith is the victory, faith is the victory. Oh, glorious victory that overcomes the world.
Our passage is John 20, verse 1. Now, the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb early while it was still dark and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. Then she ran and came to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and said to them, They have taken away the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him. Peter therefore went out, and the other disciple, and that would be John, and were going to the tomb, so they both ran together, and the other disciple outran Peter and came to the tomb first. In the parallel accounts, fill in some details, and we've spoken about some of the issues. But here, as we think about the verse, what points might we make? Well, when Mary Magdalene came, and Peter and John run towards the tomb, I wanted you to think about what they thought about her. And I believe it's the parallel accounts that speak to they just thought that the women were hysterical. And we made this point yesterday or the day before. There's probably a good bit of hysteria. But that's what they thought. They didn't understand. They didn't understand what the Lord had been teaching, because the Lord had told them this is what was going to happen. But as they run to the tomb, it's just interesting, because they run to the tomb, so they wanted to investigate, and they didn't know what had happened, but they run to the tomb. And so I was just thinking about what may have been going on with their minds. And as we think about who it is who's going to the tomb, therefore Peter went out, and the other disciple. And I wonder, because Mary says they've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've laid him. You remember in the garden when all the soldiers arrive with Judas leading the way, and what Peter has at his side. And I understand Peter has it for a reason, and it's the sword. And I was just wondering if Peter had the sword with him at this point. And of course, it's just speculation, just something to think about. Because he didn't really, not yet, he didn't really believe yet that the Lord was resurrected. And so he would have been leaning more into they've taken him away. What are you going to do about it? And I just wonder if he didn't have the sword at his side. They're running to investigate. But anyway, I just wanted you to think about what their mindset may have been, or just all these different thoughts going on in their brains. Despite what's already been said to the women, despite what the Lord's already taught, and yet it's still, they've taken him away. And so I wanted you to just consider that idea. What was going on in their mind? The women were hysterical, they thought. And I just wonder. It's like, what are you going to do? Just to look? I just wonder. Back to the account, though. They both ran together, and the other disciple outran Peter and came to the tomb first. And I was thinking about the idea that It's good to run together, and we should run together. But at a certain point, Galatians talks about, yes, we bear one another's burdens, but then each one shall bear their own burden. At a certain point, we all must run, and we're not going to wait. We're not going to wait. And I don't mean to make too much of this, but just the fact that John outran Peter. And just as an application, that we all have to use the talent, the abilities that we have. We all have to use the abilities we have, whether it's 1 talent, 2 talent, 5 talents. We do the best we can. Let me put it like that. Whatever we do the best we can. Now, there are times, of course, where we have to wait and go slow for others, and that is a part of our abilities. But at the same time, each one shall bear his own load, and you do the best you can. And at some point, you're not waiting. You're not waiting. Like when it's time to go, when the Lord says go, you go. It's like, I can't wait for you. When the Lord talked about, when the person said, I must go bury my relative. And it's let the dead bury the dead. Come on. You have to follow. And don't wait. A lot of times people will slow down and wait until finally they just, no, they're not following like they should. Just as an application, you might think about that here as Peter and John are running to the tomb to investigate to see what's happening. Because, it's, as I said, all the things that have happened. It is an interesting time, to say the least. As we think about the Lord's resurrection, but you have all these different signs that have been happening. Remember what is said on the road to Emmaus, I believe, when it's, are you the only one in Jerusalem who's not heard about this stuff? There are a lot of things happening. And now they're running to the tomb. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.